It's a new year, but not everyone is making resolutions. You're probably pledging to swear off dessert, I am, or join a gym. But virtually nobody in the press corps here in Washington is planning on changing a thing. And that's odd, considering how embarrassing 2017's news coverage actually was. It was about a year ago that the Washington Post was reporting, you'll remember, that Russia had breached the American electrical grid. Panic ensued. That story turned out to be totally false. So were countless claims that were repeated in virtually every press outlet that the Russian government hacked our election. That suggested that Putin rigged it or even altered vote totals somehow. There was never any evidence of that, and there still isn't. But they're still saying it. And how about that story about how Mike Flynn was going to testify that Trump had ordered him to make contact with Russia just before the election? Remember that one? ABC ran it, then retracted it, but not before causing big short-term losses in the stock market. Oops. That very same week, CNN ran a made-up story about Donald Trump Jr. and WikiLeaks. Remember that one? Wrong again, but they kept going. We could go on and on and on. There are a lot of examples. Donald Trump loathes the media, of course. Tonight he even tweeted this, quote, "I will be announcing the most dishonest and corrupt media awards of the year on Monday at 5 o'clock. Subjects will cover dishonesty and bad reporting in various categories from the fake news media. Stay tuned." So he doesn't like the media. But does that give reporters license to be sloppy and dishonest? Joe Concha writes about the press for The Hill, and he joins us tonight. So, Joe, we could go through, as we often do, all the examples of the press getting it wrong or putting a thumb on the scale. But I want to take 3 steps back because it's a new year and ask, what is this about? It seems like news outlets are devaluing their own currency, which is credibility, in pursuit of Trump. It's hurting them, but they're still doing it. Why?
They're doing it because for many networks and papers like the Washington Post and New York Times, most read years ever in terms of subscriptions, digital subscriptions up. CNN, MSNBC, most watched years for them ever. Granted, CNN still in third place, MSNBC still in second, Fox News in first. So it's been very good for business. I also think that if you abandon all neutrality, Tucker, that you actually get a gold star and possibly a promotion and an award. And let me give you one example, and this is a very clear one. Jorge Ramos was, he's an advocate who plays an anchor on TV. He was awarded the prestigious Walter Cronkite Award. And here's what he said, and I'm quoting, "Neutrality is not an option when covering Donald Trump. Judgment Day is coming for those who stay silent on Trump." That sounds like somebody who's leading a resistance, and he's given the biggest, most prestigious award in journalism for saying that you shouldn't be objective anymore when covering a sitting president.
Judgment Day is coming. That suggests a spiritual element to this. That sounds like something from a sermon.
It does, doesn't it? I'll give you another sermon, by the way. Bob Woodward said on CNN on Sunday, and this sums it up perfectly. In lots of reporting, particularly on television commentary, there's a self-righteousness, smugness, and people kind of ridiculing the president. When we reported on Nixon, it was obviously a very different era, but we did not adopt a tone of ridicule. The tone was, what are the facts? Bob Woodward gets it. They pursued facts without actually ridiculing, and that's the way we should be going about our business now. But in 2018, Tucker, that ain't going to change.
It seems like, and look, I'll just stipulate what is obvious, which is the president goads the press. He doesn't like them, and he's always tweeting about them. But I wonder why nobody in the press corps has decided, I'm not going to rise to the bait, and I'm just going to play it as straight as I possibly can and let my stories speak for themselves. They seem personally offended.
Yeah, there's definitely how can I put this? When the president criticizes members of the press, they take it personally. And my wife's an ER doctor. I'll give you an example around this. She has people that come in to the emergency room all the time, and lots are drug seekers, and they're faking illnesses in order to get a prescription. And when they don't get what they want, they personally start to attack her verbally. And she just puts her head down, she ignores all the criticism, and she does her job. And that's what reporters should be doing. They should ignore what the president's saying in terms of fake news and the tweets that come out every day, because he knows it's a political play, because his base thinks that the media actually is the opposition party. So, yeah, they need to do that. But instead what they end up doing is they take unnamed sourced information that's weaponized from people that are purposely pushing false narratives, and they run with it because they feel that's ammunition, and they don't care if they get it wrong because there's never any accountability for the most part when they do get it wrong.
So here's the, very quick, 10 seconds. They told us for a year that the Trump campaign colluded with the Putin government to steal the election. If it turns out not to be true, where does that leave them?
It leaves them with half of their audience believing that it still is true, and they'll just continue to, they'll find another narrative to push as long as it's negative towards the administration.
Boy, that divides the country right there. Joe Concha, thanks a lot.
Happy 2018.
Happy 2018. We'll be right back. The same people. If you want evidence of this, look no further than the controversy over Donna Brazil's new book. Brazil once ran the DNC. So when she says the Democratic Party worked hard to steal the election from Bernie Sanders, you can't exactly dismiss her as a partisan or a kook. And yet that's exactly what many in the establishment press have tried to do for several days. According to highly informed sources we spoke to, highly informed, top management at CNN directed its employees to undermine Brazil's credibility. Anchors and producers there were vocally offended, many of them, by Brazil's attacks on their friends, the Clintons. If you've been watching that channel, you may have noticed CNN's anchors suggesting that Donna Brazil cannot be trusted precisely because she took part in efforts to rig the primaries for Clinton. Watch.
She's the one who, through somebody who doesn't work at CNN, got access to one town hall question and sent an email, which we know from WikiLeaks, to someone in the Clinton campaign to give them a town hall question, which is completely unethical. She wasn't doing that for Bernie Sanders.
Do you take her at her word, Sam, given the fact that she lied about that CNN debate and giving those questions to Hillary Clinton ahead of time?
It's unbelievable. In retrospect, they're so obviously talking points. Oh, glad to know that. But CNN's not alone, by the way. Glenn Greenwald at The Intercept wrote a great piece the other day in which he pointed out that journalists have repeatedly spread misleading stories designed to exonerate the behavior of Hillary Clinton and the DNC. NBC News published a story claiming the Clinton-DNC agreement only applied to the general election. If they'd simply read the agreement, they would have seen that's false. It applied to both. That claim was quickly, though, repeated by MSNBC, The Hill, and others. Again, it was false. Establishment journalists also claimed that Sanders signed the very same agreement that Hillary Clinton did. That's false, too. The media loves a scandal, but in this case, they can't seem to downplay this one fast enough. Donna Brazil isn't backing down, though. Watch this.
For those who are telling me to shut up, they told Hillary that a couple of months ago. You know what I tell them? Go to hell. I'm going to tell my story.
Donna Brazil is going to join us on this show on Wednesday with her side of all of this. Meanwhile, Richard Goodstein advised Hillary Clinton on both their presidential campaigns, and he is brave enough to join us in studio.
Darn right.
So in her book, and again, we're having her Wednesday, I can't wait to hear about this, but she says that she experienced sexism on the Hillary campaign. She wasn't taken seriously because she was a woman. And it raises the obvious question, which is, do you think the Democratic Party can handle strong women like Donna Brazil?
So I don't know whether Donna Brazil is a kook, but what she says is kooky in the book, and what she's been saying on TV. Let me give you an example.
Wait, I don't know why. Hold on. I thought the basic precept of liberalism is when a woman says she was mistreated for being a woman, that you take her seriously. You don't dismiss her as, quote, a kook or a crazy person.
In her book...
Am I the feminist here?
In her book, she says that sometimes men are not able to deal with women. This is being laid at the feet of people who worked for Hillary Clinton. I mean, the fact is, these are people... Hillary Clinton was accused of only having women work for her when she was in the Senate.
So you're dismissing her claim? You're dismissing her claim of sexism because why? Because Hillary Clinton's campaign...
Because I think she's got a distorted view of things.
She's crazy. She's another crazy woman.
I'm saying...
Crazy. I get it. The crazy woman defense.
I've
heard this before.
Okay, this is certifiably nuts. The political director, the communications director, the political director, the communications director, the digital director, you can go on and on and on, were women for Hillary. So the notion that somehow the Hillary Clinton campaign couldn't countenance a strong woman is crazy.
I think the campaign man wasn't Robbie Mook was a man. And look, all I'm saying is the Democratic Party has told me all my life that when a woman says she faces sexism, you're not allowed to dismiss her as crazy, or it's that time of the month, or any kind of insulting suggestion that she doesn't have her full wits about her. You have to take her seriously. And I do take Donna Brazil seriously. Here you are, the Democrats, saying she's just another crazy woman.
Here's the problem, I think, that Donna Brazil should have known better. Any presidential candidate, this is true on the Republican side and Democratic, takes over the National Party. John McCain did that, put Frank Donatelli into the RNC.
Right.
And the Democrats do the same. It goes back decades, okay? Somehow or other, she acted offended as if somehow they were taking it out on her when they wanted to make decisions as opposed to her. So she's putting this spin about whether it's sexism or whatever, this whole, this nonsense that she spit out about somehow or other because of her race or whatnot. It really is, I wonder.
Okay, good. So just tell me, as someone who's kind of following along, sort of watching as our culture changes really fast, and I'm writing this down because I want to keep this for future reference. When are the times when I can just dismiss allegations of racism and sexism with the back of my hand and call them nonsense, as you just did? When am I allowed to do that?
When there's evidence to the contrary. And the evidence here is, again, every single person who was, not everyone, so many people at the top of the
manager
for the
was
campaign.
A man.
Yeah, but the fact
and there were lots of men on that campaign.
Up and down. If you look at that campaign, it was uniquely kind of occupied by very powerful senior women. And again, what Donna Brazile was taking personally, look. Again, she was Al Gore's campaign manager, okay? So she didn't use Bill Clinton. There's a problem there, but it's not something that was Hillary Clinton's doing.
Boy, you're very, very certain of this. It's interesting. I'm going to, if I'm ever accused of something bad, I'm going to use your technique, which is, that's absurd. She's got to be crazy.
Well, except the evidence.
She's crazy.
I'm not saying she's crazy. I'm saying she's wrong.
You said she was a kook.
I'm saying what she's saying sounds crazy because it is demonstrably disproved.
Yeah, it hasn't actually been disproved, and you're making me even more anxious to speak to her directly. Really quickly, though, part of what's going on here is that the Clintons are losing control of the Democratic Party. It's not their party. The base doesn't agree with them on key issues. Clintons may be actually right on some of those issues from my perspective, but whatever. But the truth is, they're not going gently into that good night. Their time is over. It's been eclipsed. And these are kind of the last gasps of this political aristocracy that has been in power for 25 years. Isn't that what kind of is going on?
Well, I will say there is a tug of war going on within the Democratic Party between the Sanders and Warren wing and the wing that frankly has won presidential campaigns. Now, there's this talk about Democrats being in disarray.
Is Elizabeth Warren a kook, by the way?
Is she speaking not a kook. I have great regard for her.
Her allegations of sexism just crazy, too?
I think what she said about the things being rigged is flat out wrong. And in fact, even Donna Brazile yesterday on the Stephanopoulos show said things were not rigged.
Okay.
So that's
crazy. God, I'm never going to use that, but, that's just me. Richard, great to